Thanksgiving and the holidays are coming, so let's talk about writing guilt and creative guilt in general. I think that as creatives, a lot of us are told that we have to produce constantly. If you work at like a major studio of some sort, I think that any kind of young creator of any sort is under the gun, older ones as well. There's always the threat that you will be fired and replaced because there's 10 trillion other creatives waiting in line behind you to take your place. If you're an indie creator or doing it kind of on the side as a hobby, you would think that the pressure to produce would be less. And I think for some of us it is. I've definitely run into writers who do consider it very much a fun hobby, and it's something they do slowly on the side, just, like knitting or something like that. It's something to pass the time, something to feel good about, and they don't feel the pressure. Now, the ones that do feel the pressure, they're either trying to make it a career or they're trying to hit it big. They're looking for fame and fortune. They got into this for a reason. The reason wasn't just to pass the time like doing crossword puzzles or something like that. They were doing the creative equivalent of aiming for a gold medal in the Olympics. They wanted to be a top Disney animator, a top rock star, the next Steven Spielberg, the next Stephen King, something like that. Or perhaps they saw a guru online telling them that you can make millions of dollars becoming a writer or an artist. And, there's always gurus selling these things. The gurus, sometimes they're legit, sometimes they're not. There are definitely multimillionaire authorpreneurs, but I think many times when we dig into the backgrounds of the authorpreneurs, these are people that are selling seminars, selling courses. They've invested their money wisely. I would hate to use the word churning, but they're churning out 10 books per year or more and kind of playing with tropes and trends and marketing gimmicks and seeing what sells, what hits the audience right. And they are writing for the purpose of making money. Conversely, somebody who is like a true artiste or kind of delusional, which would be people kind of closer to my camp of things, you're writing because you have a unique story to tell, something that you believe is new, something that you believe is original, something that you believe is going to add to the world, something that you think is important to say. In either case, whether you are seeking fame and fortune or money, you're looking for an audience, a large audience, and you can't do that by just treating it like a hobby. And so the pressure is on to produce. People that are always at the top of content production are the ones that get more visibility. Okay, look, cards on the table, right? I mean, I have this YouTube channel. For me, making these YouTube videos is somewhat low effort. It's not as hard for me, I think, as for other people because I've got a good setup here. And unlike somebody who would be taking it extremely seriously, I'm putting out 1 to 2 videos per week on a relaxed schedule. So I'm not just like, okay, really trying very hard to hit tropes and trends. But I do think that regular production, whether you're putting out a chapter per week, and of course on most platforms that's never enough for visibility, but 1 chapter per week, 1 song per week, an art asset pack per month, something like that, regular content production is how most indie authors and artists and creatives get noticed. So here we are, the holidays are coming up, you're probably feeling hectic, like you need to cook for your family or hang out with your family, make travel plans. There are always outside obligations, life has a way of interrupting. And I think that many creatives, especially writers, get into a habit of feeling guilt that they're not producing enough. And it's because their spouse wants their help with something, their kids want some help with homework, their family is calling them, and, whatever else is happening in their lives, they're taken away from the creative thing and put on parent duty or day job duty or whatever it is. And then they end up feeling guilty, like they didn't produce enough that week. They missed their 1 chapter per week or 2 chapters or 3 chapters per week, whatever it is they were supposed to be doing or whatever they had promised themselves to do. I think the important thing to remember is these are self-imposed obligations. You don't have a boss telling you to do this. And taking another step back, I think it's even more important to remember that we do not have a scarcity problem in the creative content world. There is a lot of content out there. There are more books being published per minute than there ever have been in human history. I just finished reading this book called The Daughter of Time by Josephine Tey. It was written in the 1950s. And the main character is lamenting the fact that there are so many books being published these days. And I'm like, oh boy, if this character and this author were alive today, the problem has grown exponentially. We have the opposite of a scarcity problem. If your book or your chapter doesn't come out, the very sad likelihood is nobody will notice. Now, it is true that you might have some fans that are disappointed. There might be readers that are waiting and are upset that it doesn't come out. Yeah, there is going to be disappointment. And of course, if you disappoint your fans too many times, you do start to lose your audience. That is the fear that I think all creatives have. But at the end of the day, I think it's important also to step back and think, what is really important in your life? Is it your family? Is it your friends? Why is it that you are seeking fame or money or fortune or whatever it is? What is that for? And if the answer is you're doing it for your family, then I think it's clear where your priorities are in reality. And it's probably fine if you step back from your writing or your creative pursuit and tend to them for a bit and without guilt. I believe that if you do see your art or your passion as your spiritual fulfillment, your mission in life, the thing that makes you who you are, which I do, it's a core identity for me, then it shouldn't feel like a burden or a chore or work or anything negative. I mean, it should be your refuge, the thing that you go to, or it's just part of the background of your life. It's your daily habit. But I think if you find that your creative passion is inciting guilt inside you on a regular basis, then it's time to step back, reevaluate, look at your priorities in life and all of that. Your work might be amazing, and it probably is. I think there are a lot of very talented people going ignored and unnoticed these days. Unfortunately, we really don't have a scarcity problem. Some of that's good. Some of it's an outgrowth of, I think, the wealth of the society we're in. Some of it is bad because it means you're in competition with the entire world. The whole world's a stage, and we're in the attention economy and all of that. So the pressure is on. It can definitely feel overwhelming. But it's nice to remember that there are good things about being in the post-scarcity era of content. Let's put it that way. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody.